The NBA draft is a place where you get to alter your franchise forever. And the team who holds the first overall pick bears a huge responsibility to draft the best player in the draft. So how often do they get it right? This is actually the second time we've done this video on this channel. And the first part, I did the 2010s. Now, we're doing the 2000s. So, we're going to follow the same criteria we did in that video. And that criteria was, there has to be a better player inside the top 5 of that draft. And the reason why I chose the top 5 is because it's kind of realistic to think that they would have drafted that guy. If I go outside of it and say, oh, like the 15th pick of the draft would have been the better pick, like that's just not realistic, really. So that's why I'm keeping it to the top 5, and let's get right into it.
With the first pick in the 2000 NBA draft, the New Jersey Nets select Kenyon Martin from the University of Cincinnati.
Starting off in 2000, it's a relatively weak draft class with Kenyon Martin being the first overall pick. And there's actually a real debate of who's the better player between him and Mike Miller. I do lean to Mike Miller being the better player, so let's dive into why. So let's look at the accolades for Mike Miller. Mike Miller in 2001 is the Rookie of the Year. He's a 2-time champion. In 2006, he wins 6th Man of the Year. He's played over 1,000 career games, and he ranks 42nd all-time in three-pointers made. When you talk about Kenyon Martin's accolades, it's really just one All-Star game appearance, and that's really it. He also played 275 games less than Mike Miller, so that's another huge thing to look at. Alright, so then if Mike Miller wins in the accolades, what about the stats? Well, let's start off with Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Martin averaged 12.3 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.9 assists. So then let's compare that to Mike Miller, where, I won't lie, they are definitely worse. Mike Miller is averaging 10.6 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. You might be going, wait, didn't you say the player has to be clearly better? And how can you say Mike Miller's clearly better? Well, I did say Mike Miller did play 275 more games than Kenyon Martin. So let's dive into those numbers. What if we take away Mike Miller's final 275 games? What do his stats look like now? His stats receive a huge bump, where now he's averaging 13 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in his first 757 games, the same as Kenyon Martin. So essentially, we can call the stats a wash. So what else can I go off of? Accolades. And Mike Miller crushes in that category. So I think it's pretty clear to say Mike Miller would have been the better pick. Kenyon Martin is the wrong pick.
With the first pick in the 2001 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Kwame Brown from...
Wrong pick. What do you want me to say? 2001 first overall pick, Kwame Brown, is terrible. He's a historic draft bust, and everyone knows that. So let's just hope no one in this top 5 was any good. Well, second overall was Tyson Chandler, who was pretty good. Okay, well, who went third?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness!
Oh, the third overall pick was Pau Gasol, a Hall of Famer. Oh, it just sucks for Washington drafting Kwame Brown over Pau Gasol. Just the wrong selection by the Wizards. Kwame Brown, you suck!
The Houston Rockets select Yao Ming from Shanghai, China, and the Shanghai Sharks.
Right pick. And so, congrats Yao Ming. You're the first player to be the right pick so far. And yeah, the Rockets nailed this pick. Essentially, there's no debate inside this top 5. Yao Ming's a Hall of Famer. The thing that sucks for Yao is that the thing that made him so good, his sheer size, is the thing that ended up derailing his career because of all the foot injuries he had. And yeah, Yao Ming's career is only 486 games. But in those 486 games, Yao's an 8-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. It's also important to mention, no one in the top 5 was even really anything. So, Yao is the obvious right pick. He's a Hall of Famer, and his career averages of 19 points per game ranks first in the 2002 draft. His 9.2 rebounds is second. So Houston nailed this selection.
With the first pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James.
Wrong pick.
Okay, fine. Yes, I'm joking. LeBron is obviously the best pick in 2003. He's arguably the best player in the league. And it's kind of amazing to say, inside a draft that is arguably the best ever, there's not even close to a debate. LeBron is just a historic draft pick. He is the poster boy for first overall picks. At this point, what isn't there to say about LeBron? LeBron's a 20-time All-Star. He's a 4-time champion, 4-time MVP, 4-time Finals MVP, and he orchestrated one of the greatest comebacks in NBA history.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James.
He has the best longevity ever. LeBron is just an amazing player, obviously, and just the poster boy for first overall picks for a reason. LeBron's career, 27 points and 7.4 assists per game, ranked first. Wow. Oh, his 7.5 rebounds is third. Just absurd. So I'll finish this segment off with one final statistic. LeBron James's box plus minus is tied with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and David West. If you combined it, yeah, LeBron's box plus minus is 8.6. Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and David West's box plus minus, if you combine it, is 8.6. So that means LeBron's box plus minus is better than the second, third, and fourth in the 2003 draft if you combine them. Also, it's rather funny, David West has a better box plus minus than Carmelo Anthony, but that's besides the point. LeBron is absurd.
With the first pick in the 2004 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Dwight Howard from Southwest Christian.
Right pick.
I think a lot of people forget how much of an animal Dwight Howard was in his prime. His reputation nowadays is kind of weird. Like, the Lakers ring definitely helped him out, but before then, it kind of went to shit. But with the Magic, Dwight Howard was amazing. In his career, Dwight Howard's an 8-time All-Star, 8-time All-NBA. He's won 3 Defensive Player of the Years, and in 2009, he led the Magic to the NBA Finals just for their second time. And yeah, they did lose. But the fact that he did that is pretty huge. In 2020, Dwight finally became a champion. After years of bouncing around from different team to different team, he came back to LA. And after his brutal 2013 stint with the team, he kind of redeemed himself with a championship. He was just a backup center, but he played a very important role to that championship team. Dwight's career 15.7 points per game ranks second in the 2004 draft, while his 11.8 rebounds per game ranks first in the draft. The Magic wouldn't hesitate to take this pick back. Dwight Howard would be the first overall pick again.
First pick in the 2005 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Andrew Bogut from Australia.
Wrong pick.
Andrew Bogut is a rather forgettable first overall pick, and he was a long-time, serviceable starting center, with his crowning achievement coming in 2015 when he won a championship. Winning a championship is something the right pick actually never did. Chris Paul, arguably a top 5 point guard in the league, was drafted 4th overall in this draft. And there's no real argument for Bogut being better than Chris Paul. Chris Paul is going to be a Hall of Famer. While Bogut's career averages of 9.6 points, 8.7 boards, 2.2 assists, and 1.5 blocks are solid, but definitely the Bucks wish they selected Chris Paul with the first pick instead of Andrew Bogut.
With the first pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Andrea Bargnani.
Wrong pick.
In 2006, the Raptors held the first overall pick for the first time in their franchise history, and it was actually the second time they held a top 3 selection, but the first time was in the 1996 draft when they drafted Marcus Camby, who was also probably the wrong pick when you consider that he only played with the Raptors for 2 seasons, while guys like Ray Allen, Kobe, Peja, and Nash all go after Camby. But let's talk about the 2006 first overall pick, Andre Bargnani. Bargnani ended up just being a fine NBA player. Not what you're expecting when you draft a guy first overall, but his career averages of 14.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 1.2 assists, while also never making an All-Star game, is okay. It's just not what we want from a first overall pick. What hurts even more for the Raptors is that there was a better power forward drafted second overall with LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge ended up being a 7-time All-Star, a 5-time All-NBA player, with career averages of 19.1 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. For sure, the Raptors wish they could have had this selection back and drafted LaMarcus Aldridge, who's the better power forward.
With the first pick in the 2007 NBA Draft, the Portland Trail Blazers select Greg Oden from Ohio State.
Wrong pick.
Like, I really hate to say this, but this was by far the easiest wrong pick of the video. Greg Oden going first overall to the Blazers. And, like, we just really don't know what Greg Oden could have been. He only played 105 games dealing with injuries, and his career averages of 8 points, 6.2 rebounds are obviously not amazing, but we really just don't know what he could have been. But, with that being said, the second overall pick is Kevin Durant. So, it looks rough. It's just a rough selection. Injuries suck, but Kevin Durant's a future Hall of Famer, one of the best players of all time, and you drafted the guy who only played 105 games. It just sucks to be a Blazers fan.
With the first pick in the 2008 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Derrick Rose from the University of Memphis.
Wrong pick.
There's just some times where you can nail a selection, and it can look like you drafted the right guy, and it still is wrong. And that's what happened in 2008 with the Chicago Bulls selecting Derrick Rose. And, like, it just really sucks because Derrick Rose was the youngest MVP ever. And I'm still going as the wrong pick. Like, how is that even possible? And we all know how it's possible when he tears his ACL and just never really returns to the player that he once was. Before his injury, Derrick Rose was amazing. He had averages of 21 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, and 6.8 assists in 279 games before he tore his ACL. But in his final 444 games, he averaged 15.1 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game. And he just wasn't the same player post-ACL. What really sucks for Rose is that most drafts, he would still be the best player. But there happened to be another athletic point guard who won an MVP inside the top 5. That guy was Russell Westbrook, who's the second player ever to average a triple-double for a season, and he did it 3 times in his career. Russ had career averages of 21.4 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 8.1 assists, and he ends up being the best player inside the top 5 of this draft. The moral of the story here is sometimes you can get the right pick, but injuries suck, man. And Derrick Rose ends up being the wrong pick in 2008.
With the first pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Blake Griffin. Pops kisses.
Wrong pick.
We finally made it to the 2009 draft, the final draft we'll be talking about today. And it brings up an interesting argument. Would you rather a guy like Blake Griffin, who ended up being really good for the Clippers, or would you rather the better player in James Harden, who it took time to develop, and it didn't even work with the first team he was with? He didn't explode until he was on the Rockets. It's really weird. It's hard to know exactly what was best because you don't know what Harden would have been with the Clippers. And that's the thing with these hypotheticals. We don't actually know. So that's why I picked it was the wrong pick, because in this hypothetical scenario, all I know is that Harden ended up being the best player in real life. So I'm just going to say maybe that happens again and it's worth taking that shot. And like, it's not really that close who's better. Harden is a 10-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA. He's a 3-time MVP runner-up, and he won it in 2018. While Blake is a 6-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, averaging 19 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. It's just not really the same type of career. And I don't know if you guys are going to agree, but I'm going Blake Griffin was the wrong pick. Comment if you disagree with how I decided to do this. But did James Harden jump over a car? So now we've done these videos twice, asking the question, how often is the first overall pick the best pick? In these videos, we've done 21 different drafts. In those drafts, do you want to know how many of those times they were the best player inside the top 5? 9. So essentially, you have a 43% chance of drafting the best player inside the top 5 if you're holding the first overall pick. And there's a lot of different first overall selections. You could have guys who just flat out suck, like Kwame Brown and Anthony Bennett. Or you could draft Hall of Famers like Anthony Davis and LeBron James. It's a big spectrum of how good each first overall pick is. So that's it today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment, leave your opinions on this topic. Like and subscribe, and check out our last video.